So in today's video, I'll show you exactly how I went from 18% body fat to 10% body fat in about 90 days without tracking a single calorie. If you want to know the secret meals that I used for this, stick around until the end. So first and foremost, let's look at some key principles of this method. If you don't apply these principles and you don't understand them, this won't work. You're going to have to track calories then. This can only work with repeatable meals. This is unarguably most important. This is the most important thing out of all of these, is to have repeatable meals that you eat every single day. You don't have to eat the same thing every single day, the exact same thing, but you should have 6-7 repeatable meals that you just rotate around each day. Also, this only works if you have a moderate deficit of about 300 calories. If you have a very large deficit, this can work too. However, it's gonna increase the risk of you mentally burning out and starting to binge and whatever. Also, because you're in a cut, you need 1.88 grams per kilogram of protein per body weight. For pounds, I think that would be 0.9 grams per pound, but I'm not sure, Google that. And another key principle on how this works is carb cycling. So carb cycling, very simple explained in a nutshell, is you have lower carbs on your rest days because in those days you aren't training, and those days you focus on your protein intake. But on your training days, you eat more carbs. So what this does is basically it keeps your blood sugar levels more stable, and it's better for performance since you don't really need carbs on rest days, or as many carbs on rest days. But yeah, let's move on. So I'm going to show you what I did, and then I'm going to show you how you can implement this. But let's first go over me. Okay, so my maintenance was 2,250 calories on training days and 1,950 on rest days. So what I did is I subtracted 300. I ate 1,950 on training days and 1,650 on rest days. Both days I ate the same amount of protein and the same amount of fats. 120 grams of protein and 50 grams of fats. Those didn't change. Whether it was a rest day or a training day, those stayed the same. On training days, however, I had 240 grams of carbs, and on rest days I had 160. Like I explained, this makes it way easier for your body to lose fat actually, because you don't really need those carbs on rest days. So you can focus way more of your calories on protein, which is going to be way more beneficial when you're in a deficit, since the carbs that you eat on rest days aren't going to be wasted, but they're not really going to be used effectively. So how can you implement this too? So there are a few steps. First step is take your training day maintenance and subtract 300. If you eat 3 times a day, divide that by 3. So in my case, that was 650 calories per meal. Now, create 5 to 6 meals with that number of calories. Now, it's very important that the meals are pre-tracked. So basically, one time when you make them, for one time, insert the things in your app and see that they add up roughly to about 650 calories. And also keep your protein intake consistent throughout meals. So in my case, I was eating 120 grams of protein a day, so it means about 40 grams of protein per meal. If one meal has 35 and the other has 45, that's also fine. But keep it roughly consistent so that your protein synthesis sort of stays consistent throughout the day. They don't have large sort of waves where you eat none and then you have a massive spike. That's really not beneficial. We want to keep it the same. So for rest days, what you're going to do is very simply going to lower the carbs in the meal until you hit your rest day calories. So these are your meal calories that you're going to eat per meal on your training day, and these are the ones that you're going to eat per meal on your rest day. So what you're going to do is very simple, lower your carbohydrate intake for each meal until you hit 550, in my case. So now I'm going to give you some examples and also the meals that I used. So example meals could be sweet potato and eggs, potato and white fish, overnight oats with yogurt and whey, rice and sardines. Those are just some examples. So meal 1 would be 4 eggs and 400 grams of sweet potato and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Those are 650 calories. Now, to get to on my rest days, I was simply eating 200 grams of sweet potato. So I would just use half a sweet potato because one whole sweet potato is about 400 grams usually. So what you do on your rest day is you eat 200 grams, so 1.5 sweet potato, and on your training days you just eat a full one. However, you still keep eating 4 eggs, and fried, I basically used the olive oil to fry them, essentially. Meal 2 was 200 grams of sardines and 65 grams of white rice. Here, same principle. I always kept the sardines to 200 grams with fat and protein intake, essentially. And on rest days I had 30 grams of rice, and on training days I had 65 grams. Lastly, these are just overnight oats, 60 grams of oats. I personally use sheep milk, whey protein, 1 banana, cacao powder, etc. All of this has 650 calories combined. Now what you're gonna do on your rest day is very simple. Cut out the banana and reduce the oats to 40 grams. And that's pretty much it. Keep the protein intake here the same, and maybe you can put a little bit less honey, but I just like it for the taste. I just remove the banana and some oats, and that's pretty much it. That's exactly how you would do this. Essentially, get lean without tracking calories. The main sort of goal is to eat the same meals as much as you can. Obviously, make sure the meals are actually enjoyable and don't just eat things that you hate. But that's pretty much it. Make 5 to 6 meals the way I showed you, and then basically reduce your carbs on your rest days. So just do 40 grams instead of 60 grams, for example. So in case you want a transformation like this too, and you're ready to start yours, I'm taking on 5 guys for coaching this month. First 3 to sign up will get a $500 discount. So if you're interested, book a call with me with the link in the description.